Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first ever ASL class. I'm Charlie. Happy Pride. Happy Pride? Okay. Um, I'm so excited to introduce you to Kay and Queer ASL. I had the privilege of taking a class from Queer ASL. I'm still very remedial, but it helped me in so many different ways, not just in learning the language, but also culture surrounding deafness and the deaf community. And I just want to say hello to our front row, who we're going to be pulling in here now as well. Great. And if you purchased a meet and greet as well, we're going to be doing an intensive right after this. So just stick around here and we'll bring you into that. Just stay right here in the Zoom. And remember, you can always watch this class after the fact too. Hi, Ray. Um, so for the sake of format here, we have Berto, who will be able to speak as well to help those who have processing disorders and other challenges with the class. And we're just going to go spotlight. We're getting all of our settings here together. Let me grab that spotlight. We are, so yes, you can watch this after the fact on our YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed. And thank you for supporting both Queer ASL today and Deaf Queer Resource Center, a nonprofit here in San Francisco that is a national nonprofit seeking to support, inform, and empower. So thank you for that. Today, your next experience will be guided by Kay Slater. Kay is a gender fluid and hard of hearing multidisciplinary artist, accessibility consultant, and arts worker. They have been proudly volunteering and working as social media coordinator for Queer ASL, and they love chatting and learning more about students who join the Queer ASL community. Hi, Kay.
Hello, welcome. So I am joining you all from Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada. And I am very proud to live here on the historical lands of three native groups, the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh. This is unceded land, and so I am very grateful to pay my respects to those people. I will let you know very quickly a visual description of myself. I am a white person. I have black and gray hair in a braid down to one side, with the sides a little bit shorter than the top. I'm wearing a black shirt, and I'm standing in front of a black background. Thank you. So, can everyone see me okay? Is it clear? Yes? Great. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and start presenting. Let's see. Do we see this? Do we see? Oh. All right. I think we are good to go. And all right. Can we see the slides and me? Great. So welcome to Signs of Pride. Again, welcome. Let's talk about what we're going to do today. I've got some bullet points here, some things we're going to go over in American Sign Language. We will learn the alphabet and how to fingerspell. We will learn about deaf culture. And we'll work on some vocabulary and grammar. So here's our agenda for the day. First, I'll talk a little bit about Queer ASL and who we are and what we do. Next, we'll talk about some facts about American Sign Language. Then we'll get into the alphabet. After that, we'll talk about some 2S LGBTQIA plus identities and vocabulary. We'll talk about colors of the rainbow. We'll get into some greetings and talk about facial expressions and non-manual grammar. And then we'll get into our learn more. All right. Excellent. So, who are we and what do we do here at Queer ASL? Queer ASL is a queer and transgender positive environment where we try to make learning ASL accessible, affordable, and safe for all students. So, do we only teach signs related to the queer community? No, we teach general ASL classes. So, you could take ASL 101, for example, learning how to ask questions, how to discuss emotions, food and drink, talking about where you live, those types of things. So general ASL classes and queer ASL classes are very similar. However, ours are more inclusive and more accepting of people from all backgrounds. One of the focuses of the language that we teach is we tend to teach signs that are more gender neutral. So ASL is a gendered language. Sometimes there are not gender neutral signs for some concepts. So, for example, going from the cheeks up are generally male signs. Sorry, from the cheeks up, generally male coded signs, and from the cheeks down are generally female coded signs. So we can see that here. These are our more mask signs. So, for example, dad, man, husband, brother. So dad, husband, brother. Those are done up above the line of the cheeks. And then from the cheeks down, those are our more femme signs. So for example, mom, wife, and sister. I'll show you those again. So For example, the sign parents is a male and a female, right? Spouse, husband and wife. Siblings or brothers and sisters, right? And so that's the traditional way of signing these, and they are gender specific, which can be very frustrating. So, over the years, the deaf queer community has challenged these traditional ways of signing and have adopted this area near the cheek as a gender neutral area. So, if you think about those, instead of the male and the female, the parent goes back. Spouse comes from the cheek, and so does sibling. So again, right, we had parents was the traditional way, and this is the gender neutral way. Husband and wife, spouse or partner. Brother and sister, sibling. So things are getting better over time as we go along. Just keep in mind that these terms are new and they are still evolving, which means that occasionally there are, older signs, when that, and also not all deaf queer people have adopted or learned all of these gender neutral signs yet. And so not all deaf queer people will know these exact variations, but it is getting out there slowly but surely. So what about pronouns? What do we do with pronouns in ASL? So in English, we have pronouns that we typically use, like she, her, he, him, his, and they, them. One of the cool things about ASL, one of the really positive things, is that the pronouns are inherently gender neutral because we just point. We're pointing. I'm pointing at myself, pointing at these people. So if you were to tell someone your pronouns, your English pronouns, you in sign language, you would fingerspell them. So you would say, my English pronouns are they/them. Easy enough, right? Simple. Now, in ASL, let's look at some typical pronouns. The personal pronoun you. I'm just going to point at you like this. Or I or me, I point at myself. For the third person personal pronoun, you point towards that third person. There you go. The one pronoun to rule them all here. Index finger. Now let's talk about possessives. Instead of the index finger, it's a flat hand. So this is yours, mine, and the third person, his, hers, or theirs. And then that's going in the direction of that third person. Good? All right. Now, what if the person is not there? Then what do you do? So if the person is not present, what we would do is we would set them up. So first, we would sign their name, the name of the person we're talking about, and then we would point to a space that is going to represent them for the rest of the conversation. So for example, I might say, my friend Kim, and then point to this space, or point to another space and call this space Zoe. Now, every time I point to Kim, I can point and reference her and say, Kim's favorite color is red, and Zoe's favorite color is pink. There's Kim, there's Zoe, there's Kim, and that's how you do it. So now you might be wondering, which hand am I supposed to use? So in ASL, we have one dominant hand and one passive hand. So how do you decide which is which? Your dominant hand is typically the hand that you use to write with. So I write with my right hand. Now, if you use both hands equally well, if you're ambidextrous, first of all, very impressive. You are highly skilled. And so for that, you can just pick which one. Pick a dominant hand, but be consistent with it. All right. Now, let's review our alphabet. Good? Everyone ready? All right. This means again, again. Sorry about that. Now we're back on track. Okay, remember to breathe. Shake out your hands. So this is the sign for fingerspelling. So if you have two letters in a row that are the same, let's talk about how you do that. So here's an example. You can slide them. So here's an example. Beef. B-E-E-F. Like the food. Beef. You can also bounce your double letters. And there's that P. So for example, in the name, Bobby. B-O-B-B-Y. You can also repeat them like this. So here's your double M, your double N, and your double S. So, for example, mess. Oh, but I did the slide. Wrong. Incorrect. Let me try that again. There we go. M-E-S-S. M-E-S-S. Mess. All right, we good? All right. We are going to move on. Let's practice. Pop quiz. Oh no! Are you ready? Don't worry, no pressure. Everything's going to be fine. So let's see what you know about deaf culture. So if you think you know the answer, you can show me by signing A, B, or C for the choice. You all ready? Yep. All right. All right. What do you think? That's right. It's B. It is a real language. A lot of people think that ASL is a form of English, and it is not. That is incorrect. ASL is its own language with its own rules, grammar, structure, etc. It is separate from English. All right, what do we think here? There you go. There are over 200 sign languages worldwide. So sign language is a language category. So ASL is a label for one sign language. ASL is typically used in the United States and in the English-speaking parts of Canada. Now, just so you know, Canada has a province called Quebec where they speak French, and they use a sign language called LSQ, which means, what does it mean? It's basically Quebec Sign Language. Sorry, I'm trying to translate French into ASL into English. Oh, anyway, LSQ. Oh, and some parts of Alaska and sorry, some parts of West Africa and Southeast Asia also use ASL. Now, in Britain and in the UK, they use BSL. And Australia uses a language called Auslan. BSL and Auslan are similar, but are very different than ASL. Now, did you know there is an international sign language? And that's typically used by deaf people who are traveling or at big international conferences. International Sign Language was established initially for the World Federation of the Deaf many years ago, back in about 1970. And it's not really a real language. So you can see our map of the world here. The red areas, like you can see North America there. It's actually kind of interesting because American Sign Language actually came from and grew out of French Sign Language. So historically, ASL is really sort of gets its roots from French Sign Language. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. All right, more quiz questions. Our quiz continues. So ASL incorporates facial expressions, head movement, and eye gaze for what? Don't know. Yeah, it's for grammar. It's grammatical. That's right. Here we are learning. Good job. Fantastic. So ASL grammar can involve the face, head, shoulders, mouth, and especially eyebrows. Now, it can be used to show emotion as well, but it's mostly grammatical. That takes that's primacy. So, depending on what you do in your eyebrows, you can totally change the meaning of a sentence. So you can think of, if you think about like a written sentence with punctuation, depending on the punctuation, right, it changes the meaning of the sentence. And that's how your eyebrows work in ASL. All right, here we go. We're learning. So let's talk about your mouth here. This is the ooh for small things and the cha for big things. So I'll give you an example. My cat was born. He was teeny, and now it's big. And that's a true story. Ooh and cha. So now let's do an eyebrow example. Raised eyebrows and furrowed eyebrows. Is your favorite color red? What is your favorite color? Eyebrows up, eyebrows down. So those are just a few small examples. So I'm going to do some examples. Notice my brows, my face. So you can see how the eyebrows help to change the meaning. So let's talk about name signs. How does somebody get a name sign? What do you think? Do you go through a complicated ceremony? You just make it up yourself? Or is it given to you by a deaf person? There we go. Deaf people give you your sign name. So name signs are a gift from deaf and hard of hearing people. Sometimes a name sign might show an aspect of your physical traits, your hair, your freckles, how you stand. Maybe it could be based on an activity, something that you like to do. And having a name sign is a signifier of your inclusion with the deaf world and your acceptance of deaf culture. So, it could come from a community member or from a member of your family who's deaf. And there are some exceptions to how name signs occur, specifically for transgender deaf people who are picking their own name out of a sense of protection and safety. So when you're first introducing yourself, you would fingerspell your name and then show the name sign. So for example, I'm going to say, and I do use my fingerspelled name at times because it's short, right? K. But when I do it like that, it's not like spelling out each part. It's more sort of fluid. K. So the idea is simplicity, right? You don't want to get name signs that are more complicated than just fingerspelling your name. And again, this is for ease of use, right? So if I'm looking at Stephanie, I'm like, hey, look at Stephanie. She stinks, right? Maybe I'm gossiping, right? No, Stephanie doesn't stink. But, again, it's to make conversation easier, right? So we could say, hey, K. K's fast. K, name sign K, fingerspell K, takes the same amount of time. But Stephanie, it's easier to just use the name sign. So the Milan Conference of 1880 was an international conference that happened back then. And let's think, what was done there? What did they decide? So what do you think? A or B? They banned sign language. So what happened? A group of hearing educators got together and they decided, you know, basically they were going to make a decision between sign language education or oralism, teaching deaf people to speak, and they chose oralism. Altogether, there were 164 people in attendance. Out of those, only one of them was deaf. And they really decided the future of education for deaf people and for the deaf community. And they decided to drop sign language and, in fact, ban sign language. They thought that it would be better to teach lip reading so that deaf people could become more integrated in the hearing world. And that ban persisted for 100 years. And the effects of that oppression are still felt in the deaf community. One of the results is that deaf teachers were laid off or fired, and they were replaced by hearing teachers who focused on teaching lip reading. And the next result is that deaf students started to struggle academically. And if they tried to sign, sometimes the teacher would hit their hands or their wrists with a ruler, which meant that the educational outcomes for deaf students were much worse after this conference and much worse compared to their hearing peers. And again, this still shows up today. All right, did you all learn something? Yeah? So, we've only scratched the surface here. We have not gone very deep into deaf history or culture, but I would encourage you all to continue learning. Are we good on time? All right. Now we're going to do our LGBTQI ABCs. Spirit. Sometimes you might fingerspell lesbian. It depends. If the person identifies as a lesbian, right, you're saying, they might say, I prefer you fingerspell that. And then we respect that. But there's also this sign. Growing up, this was the sign when I was younger, going across the chin like that. But now we fingerspell it out in neutral space. Sometimes you'll add the sign for queen, which looks like this. So those are both equivalent, with or without adding the sign queen. Or you can also do that and then add the sign king, which moves across the body like this. So we had drag queen with queen. And now we have king. Or you could do it without adding the royalty at the end. Because really we're all kings and queens. So do we have a sign for queer? We do. There's actually a few ways to sign queer. It depends on what region you're in or your personal preference. So with new signs, new vocabulary, new terms, they're constantly evolving and changing. And so sometimes, there might be one sign that we think we all agree on, but it actually requires more discussion and more vetting by the community. So here are some ways to sign queer. I'm going to give you 3 of them. Here's the first one, is to fingerspell. This is a sign that also means rainbow. So those are our 3 ways to sign queer. Now let's look at non-binary. Again, we do not have one sign that everyone's agreed on yet. There's some signs that are kind of going around, but what you mostly see are the 3 that I'm going to give you now. Fingerspelling. This is ENBY, fingerspelling ENBY. And the one that I use is to say I am not a man, not a woman, I'm a person. I'm going to show you that one again. I am not a man, not a woman, I'm a person. So those are three options that all work. How are we doing on time? All right, we're going to do a quick review here. All right, and then we're going to be done. Wow, 1 hour. That went fast. Time really flies, huh? Can you guys show me this one? Here you go. Nice. Good. Mm-hmm. There you go. Like flowers. It's kind of like a flower that's closing up. Good job. You guys got all three. There's also the ENBY one, fingerspell ENBY, or you can describe it like I do. That's usually what I do. Okay. Woo. Time. We are done. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, K-A-Y.
Yep,
Um,
that's me.
so thank you so much, Kay. I know there's some questions too. What I would love, just for the sake of time, is for anyone who has questions for Kay and for Queer ASL, please go to their website, queerasl.com. Send them your questions, and then also sign up for their classes because they have some ongoing classes that are awesome. And you can get into more detail. 1 hour is not enough to cover the basics of both culture and signing. So get in there, go check it out. You can also follow them on their social media channels as well. And we're going to be moving into our meet and greet with our intensive here for our group. Front row, how are you all doing? How did you fare on the good? Okay, good. Awesome. Thank you all for participating. The website is there for anyone who needs it, queerasl.com. And we're so thankful for all the work that you're doing to make signing inclusive and a safe space for people to learn and for us to change some of the, let's say, archaic ways of looking at gender and sign language. So thank you so much. So we're going to be moving into our meet and greet now. Everybody go check out also Deaf Queer Resource Center. They're doing really important work here in San Francisco, vital organization right now, especially. And just really appreciate everybody signing up and getting your tickets so we can help support them as well.